Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke. I've been sitting on this movie for a while, and the third movie's now out, and so I feel like I should probably review this movie before I watch the third one. I don't even have it yet. I plan on picking it up on Blu-ray because the outtakes are exclusively on the Blu-ray, thanks Viz. But I rewatched it since it's been a while because I didn't want to give you guys a half-assed review where it's like, I think that this is what happened. You know, for stuff about the manga, you know, it's been a bit, and I'm not going to go back and read the entire thing. All 20 volumes that I've read so far out of the 37 volume series, but I have rewatched the movie, and you know, there's not too much that I didn't already think. Like, there wasn't any really new material, so but anyway, I guess we'll get started. For those of you who are curious, this movie titled Berserk: The Golden Age Arc Part 2, The Battle for Doldrey, it starts off in the beginning when Casca's on her period and Guts and her protects her for a little bit. And it ends when Griffith is being tortured after being caught coming out of Charlotte's room after Guts leaves and decides to go and do his own thing. As far as the faithfulness to the source material, it's not that much stuff's really changed. It's stuff that they've taken out. Like, dialogue, I think, is pretty much fine. Like, especially as far as the dub's concerned, Viz is pretty good about it. They've been they did a good job, and you know, you can make a lot of comparisons to the old dub of the anime that they did. But there are some things just to, you know, update the script and whatnot. You also get to see Casca's hairy coochie, because this series is supposed to be adults. It's adult oriented for adults, and you also get to see some boobs, and you know, there is a bit of, as my buddy Rio or whatever we like to call it rape culture. So there's a lot of rape culture in this movie, especially towards Casca, because she is the quintessential rape victim of the entire Berserk series, the entire Berserk franchise, I guess you could say. If you've seen the anime, or if you've read the manga, that you can kind of gauge how far the movie's going to go and sort of like where it considers like the ending point of that section. And it goes as far as like the part where Guts leaves. So it really kind of starts like a little bit after the beginning of what the start of the eclipse technically would be. As far as stuff they take out, one thing I noticed they took out was they took out the whole thing with Griffith selling himself as a prostitute for that general for the castle of Doldrey. They hint at it, but they don't really show it, and you know, I guess they considered that maybe too much for the audience, as well as a little unnecessary, because at that point it was just sort of like clutter character development, which for a story you don't really want. You don't want to just bring up development after, especially if you're starting to like repeat yourself, which maybe they felt like, they being the filmmakers, probably felt like they were doing, so I guess they took it out. They hinted at it though, that there was something going on, so it's not like they really took it out. It's more that they took out the visual evidence of it, which is weird because they show sex, and I'm not talking about implied sex or just scenes. Like, it's covered up, but they show like legitimate sex. So if you're horny for some borderline hentai, then this might be the movie for you. In general, this movie is more action oriented. There's a lot of action in it, so I guess action-packed is probably the right word. So I like that. I like seeing a lot of action, and what I like about these movies is that, you know, like the anime, it keeps the violence, but it's not like, and of course in the movie's case, they upscale it to where it's more graphic. Like, you see heads getting cut off, you know, limbs getting cut off, and in the first movie you saw entrails and whatnot. But I feel like it's still kind of doing only what's necessary to keep the style of Berserk. They're not like going extremely uber overboard, and it's not overly graphic in my opinion. For most people who watch a lot of gory stuff, it's probably not that extreme, though it is definitely very violent. So if you're not into that, then you should probably stay away. That's me doing the Guts voice, Koska. But another thing they took out that I noticed after watching it a second time, so I guess I lied. I did get some new material. Not that it matters. But I noticed that they took out the whole thing with Griffith burning the queen alive in that tower, as well as having that bald guy and kidnapping his daughter for ransom and whatnot, and having him keep tabs on things and not say anything about his plan. I think and that's in the manga, I'm pretty sure, as well as the thing with Griffith and the prostitution. Mainly the scene where Koska confronts him in the lake, and he's like hugging himself super hard to the point where like he's tearing at his arms or his shoulders, I guess. Yeah, where he's like tearing at his shoulders. They took that scene out, which I think that's probably fine because I felt like that was a little too graphic, especially for Berserk. Because again, Berserk is violent, but it's not like over the top. Like if you're 16, 17, or 18 years old, you should be able to handle it. Like it's not like a torture movie or anything like that. It's not like Hostel, and it's not like anything really graphic. So this series, I feel like, is definitely a series that is not only, in my opinion, a cult classic, or one of the classic series that's trying to get a revival, but also something that should be pretty watchable for most people. Unless the sight of blood bothers you, which, in that case, you should probably stay away because there's a lot of blood. Other than that, one more thing, actually. During the final battle for Doldrey in the fortress, Guts' sword breaks, and instead he has to Nosferatu Zod throws his sword at him from afar, and he uses the sword to kill that general dude. I forget his name. They took that out. I guess that was also kind of pointless as well, because it's more of just giving the viewer more stuff. It's kind of spoon feeding them information, which you don't necessarily need to do. So I guess I need to give this movie props for keeping some things cryptic, though I need to kind of slap it on the wrist for something else, because during the torture scene, which is one thing that I might have to read this chapter of the manga again, because I don't remember it being this blatant. But the king is whipping Griffith in the torture chamber because he's all like, "How dare you violate my daughter?" He doesn't even say that either. It's like they don't even know that it was just in like sex, and it's just like, is that really a violation? I mean, it's a violation of Charlotte's vagina, but that's that. And Griffith is like, "Oh, I see why you're so upset. I noticed that Charlotte wasn't set up for arranged marriage. It's because you lust her." And then he gets all upset and starts whipping him and starts whipping Griffith even more. I don't like that, because in the manga, from what I remember, that wasn't really that blatant. In fact, I didn't even know that. That didn't even happen until like the king sees his daughter in like heat or something, like she's horny or like recovering from the massive potential that is the kinetic energy that's coming from Griffith's massive penis and his demonic semen, if it's even really demonic. And then he starts to lust at her after that, him being the king. And that was a bit of a shock to me in the manga, because it was, I mean, I feel like part of it's supposed to show that even in like the good people, there's a bit of evil, or like how quickly someone can turn. But I remember in the manga, it wasn't as blatant. In fact, I don't even think it was mentioned. And again, I think it was more of a reaction to seeing his daughter in heat. So it's more about the king not seeing his his daughter as a daughter and more as like a person, which is weird. I know it's gonna from an incest standpoint, and I know there's gonna be someone out there who's still not going to get it and is gonna ride that home. And if you do, fuck you. But that's another thing that I didn't really like about it, because I didn't want it to really be that blatant, because I feel like it works better as a twist. Because now, if that scene's in the fourth movie when they make one, because they've already hinted at making more. Because the whole lust scene with the king and Charlotte happens after the eclipse. It happens post volume 13 or 14, whatever that volume is. It happens later on, and it's pretty soon too. So I don't know, maybe they show it in the third movie. I haven't seen it yet. It's already out in English. I'm going to pick it up as soon as I can. But so it's not really like part of the Golden Age arc per se. At least not a little bit. I know it's past. It's past that, but so I didn't really like that much. I mean, I get that, foreshadowing, but I mean, if we're taking out scenes to to keep things cryptic, then why make it so blatant? Maybe they could have done it where like Griffiths just says something kind of offhand, like almost in sort of like a retaliation kind of thing, like, "Oh, why do you even care so much? She's just your daughter, I'm going to take her hand someday," and like he flips out, not because he feels like his daughter's being violated, but because he doesn't want his daughter to be violated by anyone else but him. It could have been just one of those subtle things where it's just like, okay, he's reacting, but why exactly is he reacting? What's the meaning behind it? Another thing I noticed in this movie is which it really suggests they want to do more with the movie. Like, even beyond trying to be true to the manga, you don't include stuff that you're not going to show. That's the whole reason why Puck and all those other characters didn't appear in the anime, because they didn't know how long the show would go. And they do show Puck too, which the way they do it is like sort of like a big foreshadowing kind of way, because it's like they cross paths and they show a scene of Puck sort of looking back at Guts' direction, then Guts stops and turns around and looks at Puck's direction. It's just like, okay, they're totally hinting at something. That's totally what's going on. Like that it can't be any clearer than that. Not only that, but also the intro still shows manga stills from the Black Swordsman arc, I guess we'll call it, which they'll probably call it Berserk, the Black Swordsman arc, and go from there. But anyway, what else? They also show Serpico and the holy, I can't remember her name. It's like Margaret or something. I can't remember her, and it's just a tiny cameo. But they show these two characters, and of course Serpico is like sort of like the judo of the series, in my opinion. He's supposed to be like the judo character, in my opinion. Her name is Farnese, I believe. Yeah, Farnese. Her name is Farnese. She is also a pretty interesting character, because she's supposed to be like the holy girl, and she ends up being super horny. But that's a different subject, I suppose. And of course they show up, like if you look up her full name on Google Images, you will see spoiler scenes of what happens with her and Guts, which I'm not going to say what it is, but shows a different side of her. Definitely. So, that's that. They show this, they don't even talk And while I was looking at the Wikipedia page, because I was trying to find her name, I noticed there were voice actors listed, so that's telling me that they're going to actually have speaking roles in the movie. Either that or they're carryover from the video game, because I think they appear in the PS2 game, which I actually happen to have, and I'll have to go back and check. Yet at the same time, you know, the actor listed for Serpico was a relatively modern age voice actor. Like, he's the voice of Hubert in Tales of Graces. So overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. It was decent. I felt like it had an interesting pace to it. It might have just been because I had not only seen it before, but also I've seen the anime and read the manga. So I need to go back and read the manga. I'm missing one volume, and I don't want to read it until I'll read the rest of it until I get that one volume, because I have like 4 extra volumes, so I'm at like 24. I'm at 24, but I only have like 3, so I only have like 21, and I think 23 and 24. And I need to get 22, I believe. I'll have to go back and check. But yeah, this movie was pretty good. I believe the Blu-ray has outtakes in it, and once again, thanks Viz for alienating us DVD people. But I know the Blu-ray for the third movie has outtakes for both the first movie and the third, so I'm going to get the Blu-ray of that. So that'll be a treat. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Overall, it was a pretty good movie. If you like Berserk, you should definitely give it a shot. English voice acting was good. I haven't watched hardly any of the Japanese version, even though Takahiro Sakurai's in it as Griffith. But yeah, this is Flames Ron, aka YouTube Tasuke, signing out. See you guys later.